Hello everyone, I'm Arali and today I want to talk about my third Elite Specialization speculation for End of Dragons. Today I want to talk about the Guardian and the Elite Specialization that I have called the Phalanx. Now the Phalanx would get the spear weapon. It would be a close range weapon just like a regular spear. The class mechanic would be that all the F skills, so all the virtues, change to a defense oriented form. F1 would give you resistance instead of burning, so changing it up from a damage dealing perspective to a defensive one. F2 would be still healing but also give protection, and then F3 would give you still Aegis like it regularly does, but instead of doing it every 40 seconds, you now get it every 20 seconds. So it's a lot more defensive type of gameplay. Now I've based the whole specialization on more defensive type of things, so there'll be a lot of Aegis and a lot of protection going on. The Aegis, there will be later on a trait that changes how Aegis works, and so with that being said, we'll go right into the weapon skills, which for this one I actually have a whole set of them thought out. So the first of the weapon skills would be a chain of 3 stab attacks, which give you protection on the third attack. The second skill would be a short dash forward with your spear pointed out, and at the end it does like a knockback or some kind of knockdown or something like that. Your 3 skill would be a protective stance that blocks attacks, kind of like how the Mace 3 on Guardian gets you as Protector Strike, and it blocks an attack, and once it blocks the attack it does an attack back, kind of like a counter. This one on the other hand would give you Aegis if you didn't block any attacks, so it wouldn't actually do any damage, but it would just give you more of the Aegis gameplay there. And then the 4th skill would be a spear that you throw, and once it lands it makes a bubble, and that bubble destroys projectiles and blocks enemies from entering, and that would be the symbol skill for this set, and this symbol would be called Symbol of Shields. And lastly, the 5th skill would be a line of light spears that shoots out of the ground, and it blocks enemies and maybe knocks them back, whoever is standing there, and blocks them from actually passing over the terrain. And this skill would last about 5 seconds or so. So overall I think the weapon skills kind of concentrate on a more defensive type of gameplay, but are somewhat a little bit more aggressive in the way that they do protect and they function. There's something that I'm going to talk about later on that has to do with why I'm designing it that way, but overall I think it fits into the theme of what the Phalanx is going to be. That being said, we would go into the utility skills, which I have given the Phalanx banner skills. So we do have banner skills on the warrior. On the warrior though, they give you attributes, whereas with the Phalanx it would give you boons instead of giving you attributes. So there could be one banner skill that gives you might and fury, there could be one that gives you alacrity and super speed, one that gives you Aegis and protection, and maybe one that gives you regen and resistance. So I think those two of each are usually put together, class together. Might and fury usually go together, alacrity and super speed usually go together, Aegis and protection, regen and resistance, all those usually go well together. So I think there's some play you can do with that, and those are some good choices I think for skills too. Now talking about traits, of course we have a trait that reduces banner recharge, one that reduces spear recharge, maybe one that gives you increased boon duration. We already have that on the staff for the Guardian, but I think giving you something that gives you more boon duration would be really good. It could be a minor skill, so you permanently have some boon duration. And then for a couple of Grandmasters that I thought about, there could be one Grandmaster that makes Aegis have 2 stacks. So this is a little bit of a risky thing that I've thought about, because Aegis can be kind of broken in certain instances, but I think that Guild Wars 2 already does have a power creep that's coming to the game, Slowly and slowly over the years, this has been a problem, and I don't think that would be huge of a thing now if we have Aegis that has 2 stacks. And that's all it would be. It would have a maximum of 2 stacks. And I have another Grandmaster that I thought about that could be having your protection actually be stronger. Instead of doing 33% damage reduction, it could do a 50% damage reduction. Lastly, I kind of want to talk about the inspirations that I had for this elite specialization. One of them was the elite Frost Legion Phalanx that you find in the Drizzlewood Coast that were just recently introduced with the Icebrood Saga episode. When I saw those, I kind of thought that would be a neat idea to actually have a specialization that concentrates on specifically being defensive. And the Guardian already has a lot of Aegis gameplay, a lot of boons that it can put out, a lot of protection that it has in its utilities and stuff like that. So it just needed something to kind of bring it home with the defensive style of gameplay. So that was pretty much the main inspiration for this elite specialization. I also took some inspiration from the Phalanx, formation, that's what it's named after, and kind of the Sparta and warriors of old kind of thing. And it's something that's used in a lot of pop culture and things like that. And ArenaNet themselves might actually be hinting at something with those Phalanx characters that they have in the Frost Legion, because they're known to actually put some hints at what's coming for the future in their latest releases and things like that. So maybe that's something they're thinking of themselves. But it would be very interesting because the Guardian has always been more of a defensive type of archetype, really. It's based off of the Paladin, from other RPGs and stuff like that. And I think actually going back to the roots of what a Guardian is, it has guard in its name. It's become more of like a magical knight over the years now. But with this specialization, they could really go back to what the Guardian is all about and make a defensive type of gameplay. And I think that would be a really neat idea to kind of go back to those roots. And then another thing I wanted to talk about is how the Spellbreaker for Path of Fire was a warrior elite specialization, and ArenaNet said that it was a mesmer through the eyes of a warrior. And I think that the Dragon Hunter was a ranger through the eyes of a guardian. So this time, I think this would be more of a specialization that's a warrior through the eyes of a guardian, because it's a little bit more up close and personal, and there's also the banner skills that I've now added to that, and the spear is more of like not really a magical weapon, and I didn't give it any really magical abilities, so it's more of like a warrior type of thing. You're right in their face, you're just using your weapon to pretty much attack them, but it's still a defensive type of warrior pretty much is what it comes down to. But that's pretty much where the other side of the inspiration comes from. So putting those together, the Phalanx, and then the idea of doing a warrior through the Guardian's eyes actually makes it like this complete specialization to me. And that's all I have for this elite specialization. As always, I would love to hear everyone's opinions. I love reading about them. If you have any suggestions for my specialization, that would be amazing too. I think this one actually came together a lot better than even the Elementalists did. I really like the Tamer still more, but I think this is a good specialization so far, and I think it could really fit in with the setting of Cantha and where Guild Wars 2 as a setting is headed. So anyways, that's all from me, and I will see you all in the next video.